last week, I identified 3 critical areas for attention during my mandate. These 3 are conservation and decent living, waste reforms and drainage, and finally, governance. My remarks this morning will begin by touching upon the impact of the recent rains of the last 2 weeks and the lack of the proper drainage, so the point 2, waste reforms and drainage, and the impact that has had on the island. And of course, a number of concerns that I've received in the ministry as a whole, and of course, everyone has very similar concerns, the state of our roads. I'd like to inform everyone that right after the rains sort of relatively subsided, because they continue for quite some time, the ministry set out to document exactly how many potholes and road damage had occurred. We actually found that nearly 200 potholes, new potholes actually, emerged within the space of 1 or 2 rain nights. What does that mean for the average person, of course? What does that mean for our costs? What does that mean for our limited capacity? And of course, the reality that we have limited companies in the island to do this kind of work. I'll offer with you just a brief example of what we are facing as government, and of course then ask you to realize that there's an unsurmountable, well, quite a large amount of work that has to be done, but it's not insurmountable. Between the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd of November, a total of about 95 potholes were repaired in the areas of Beacon Hill, Airport Road, Simpson Bay, Union Road, Welfare Road, Correlator Road, LB Scott Road, and of course, Pondfield. For 95 potholes, the government paid about 56,100 guilders to repair just those amount of potholes, noting that the largest amount of potholes have not been addressed as yet in the area of Arch Road, South Garden Road, and of course the area of Dutch Quarter. There's still a number of different areas that still have to be addressed. Why do I say these figures? Because a number of persons have come to me asking the question as to what is happening with the roads, why aren't they being repaired? I think it's very important to realize that things that I've said even before taking on this road, the biggest challenge we have on St. Martin is drainage. The lack of drainage means that the patchwork that we have done for a number of years has literally, very literally peeled off the roads. We actually began the road surfacing project just 2 months ago, as you will recall. That has been on pause, of course, due to the rain, the impact of the roads, and will now, of course, most naturally incur a delay, as we cannot, very much expectedly, to continue to resurface the roads during this period of time. The roads are very saturated with water. They remain very filled with water. And also, we are just entering the high season. So we have to strike a balance between resurfacing and, of course, leaving the public access and right-of-way open. What the ministry will be doing for the next coming weeks is trying to continue to patch and save what we currently have. And then going into next year, towards the end of this year, in the beginning of next year, we will begin the resurfacing project again. So I do, of course, ask your patience. Please manage expectations. We cannot fix every single road in St. Martin in a space of a month. It takes about a week to repair one in the resurfacing program. So I think I ask your indulgence and also to manage expectations and be realistic. We have a severe problem with infrastructure. It's something that we all knew. It didn't appear 2 weeks ago when the rain fell. The rain just exposed the critical issues that we need to address as a country, and we will continue to do it. My second point.
Take a moment to express my condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Justice for the passing of Mr. Jean Illich. Mr. Illich was a VKS volunteer for over 15 years. And I would like to, again, extend my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and esteemed colleagues, as well as the entire VKS force, who are left to mourn Mr. Illich's loss. One of my immediate priorities is to conduct a thorough inventory of the ministry's operations, which would provide me with a deeper understanding of how the ministry functions and help identify key areas that may require immediate attention or improvement. My preference has been to take a proactive approach in order to understand the inner workings and operations within the ministry. And where adjustments are necessary, I intend to ensure that they're guided by thoughtful and data-driven decisions, with the overarching goal, of course, of delivering a justice system that services are efficient, accessible, and responsive to the needs of this society. Earlier this week as well, I visited as we know, the Justice Ministry is spread out quite a bit over the island, so it's a little difficult to just walk downstairs and meet everyone immediately. So we've been doing this in phases. Earlier this week, I visited the Illage Road. So there we have our staff bureau, as well as judicial affairs, and then of course several divisions within the Immigration and Border Patrol Services. So from there, we really met everyone and tried to understand exactly kind of from the admissions process when you go up to the window at immigration, up to our mobile unit that goes out and does patrols and are at the border. We went through and met all these individuals. So during that visit, I met with, of course, that hardworking staff and received briefings on their responsibilities and gained firsthand insight into their processes. I took that opportunity as well to express my gratitude for their dedication and their invaluable contributions. But I emphasize not only my intention to better understand the challenges so that we can work to improve workflows and foster a positive work environment, but for me, what's especially important as well is the well-being and the satisfaction of our staff. I think that that's crucial, and they are the backbone of the ministry's success. And I think within justice, we've seen that we have a ministry where for a long time, a lot of justice workers have felt like their basic operational needs are not being met. So for me, important as a minister, not only to look at how we can improve the efficiency of the processes and the services that we deliver to the public, but also to ensure that every justice worker comes to work with pride every day to be a justice worker. So looking ahead, my plan of action includes setting clear priorities and timelines for improving the processing of applications and requests. I've heard a lot about the timelines at immigration and the way that this affects people. So we're looking at streamlining procedures to enhance efficiency of both the staff and, of course, to the public that we serve. My ultimate goal is to improve the delivery of justice services to benefit the entire country, because a secure and just society benefits all of us. In the coming weeks, I'll continue visiting other departments to deepen my understanding of their operations. And this ongoing assessment will, of course, help me shape the roadmap for this ministry, not only directly in the coming days and weeks and months, but also for the entirety of 2025. And of course, going forward, where hopefully I can govern and lead this ministry for a full term of 4 years.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances.
These first two topics that I'm going to speak about are not necessarily in any order, but the last one is the most important. So the first one I would like to talk about is purpose. A lot of these topics help us to define the guide that our purpose has for us. Where do we define our purpose, and how do we accumulate purpose along the way. It's not always our choice. So sometimes, and many times, purpose is defined by how you pass knowledge. We have teachers, we have mentors as myself, we have individuals that create spaces, but these is all core elements of being a man, but also being a father. When you have children in your life, understanding what your purpose is helps them to decide whether you are the figure for them to look up to or not. So without purpose, we lack guidance, and without guidance, we end up anywhere and everywhere. Sometimes, and many times as well, specifically in fatherhood, purpose is also defined by allowing others to be seen, but also to be heard. A lot of times as fathers or mentors, we like to dictate and tell others how to act, how to present themselves, but not many times we take the time to listen. Especially when you're dealing with young men, listening is very important, because then you get to pass on the actual information that they need in the time given to them. Because if you give them advice about college or women or life when they're actually more interested in candy and hide and seek, you're not speaking to the right audience. Listening is very important as a man. The next point that is very important in manhood is value. Not just your values as a man and what you present, what keeps you morally inclined to do the right thing, but also how do you administer value to your communities. A lot of times, without administering value, we get lost. Why am I here? What is important? Nobody sees me. But it's also, what are you bringing to the table? So as young men, and as fathers, and as guides in our community, passing on these values are very important, which is why these sessions are so important as well. The topics that we surpassed over the last few months are topics that help us to establish how and where we can administer value to our communities, hence raising our self-worth in those communities. Value as well as finances. Learning valuable skills such as carpentry, anything in the digital space is very, very crucial. As we've mentioned, when it comes to fatherhood, having children is not free, and you can't run away from it most times. So we all need to develop a set of skills that are very important for us to be able to cover our own finances, that of our families, in case of emergencies, but also for the next generation. So understanding where, how, and what is your value within your community is very integral for your self-identity. And identity, and the reason I kept this for last, because most times as men, we grow up, we become men before we even realize it. And that's when we start the work to peel away the layers and ask ourselves, who am I? And usually identity is rock bottom. For many people, we establish our purpose, we establish our value far long before we establish our own personal identity. And for men, we tend to associate our identity with the things we do and the responsibilities we have. But in my case, and one of the reasons that has inspired me to share my story, what happens when we strip those men of their purpose and we strip those men of their values? Now all of a sudden, you are in your community, you are not helping out, you have no job, you are not able to administer value, and now you're not being seen. Without having the right finances, you can't execute on your purpose. If giving to your community is important, but you can't get to those spaces to give, you have lost your purpose.
As I said in my inaugural address, I have the responsibility of guiding the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport into a different type of future than one that it has lived so far, a different type of existence. I believe that this ministry is critically important to St. Martin's development as a country. So I too hit the ground running, as the catchphrase of today. But prior to being sworn in, I was also meeting with critical stakeholders leading up to that momentous occasion last week. I've continued to do this since being sworn in. Monday, we had a very productive general meeting with the department and division heads and their staff, where I was able to meet everyone. And starting the coming Monday, I will be having one-on-ones with my department and division heads to identify their critical priorities in their units so that we can build a priority list that is feasible and achievable for the coming, at least the coming year, 6 months to 1 year. Further to that, one of my main priorities is also bringing some structure and professionalization to the ministry, streamlining certain processes, and working with the other ministries to help with their processes that also impact ECYS. That, of course, includes hiring. So when you look at pay and O, for example, making sure that that process flows a bit smoother than it has been. I also want to take the ministry into a focus on evidence-based policy making that is also steeped in the reality of the world today. So we will be addressing certain realities, in particular when it comes to the digitalization of our schools and the way that students interact with technology, and also policy based on that ever-evolving technology. Just as an update on some things that I have had to address since taking office, of course, the question of the payments for the subsidized school teachers. The 1% has been signed off on, and that is now in process. And the 2% should be resolved today. There was some delay within the ministry, but of course, that is one of the processes that I'm looking to optimize and streamline moving forward. And the other critical item that I did my best to address is, of course, an update on the Prince William Alexander School. There's been many discussions about that in the media and, of course, on social media. We are moving forward with a solution that I cannot really divulge much information about right now. However, it will involve actually tackling it from a holistic point of view to make sure that the students are protected and safe as we move forward and manage that situation. Additionally, I will be receiving an update from the NRPB this coming Monday on the related projects to ECYS. So if there were any questions coming about that, the library, etc., I don't have that update as yet, but I will be providing one once I meet with the NRPB.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
Together. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Merry Christmas, everybody! Enjoy the evening. Bye. Season's greetings, everyone. We just witnessed Twilight in Town. Look how beautiful it is. The parade started on time. Kudos to Extra Tight Entertainment for that. Parade started on time, but we had to rush it just a little bit because we were not sure about the weather, but it came out very beautiful. Everyone came out. We had enough people to light up this parade. This is the 3rd annual lighting up of town, and Fiat is going to now make it even bigger and bigger and bigger next year. So this is beautiful. The kids are having fun. The lights are everywhere. Smiles on everyone's face. I think we're ready for Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Twilight in Town.
It's so beautiful to see so many people out in Phillipsburg and seeing Phillipsburg so full of life and lights. So my applause and commendments to the Minister of TIAC for making this happen and bringing some life back into Phillipsburg. Everyone have a wonderful Christmas.
Greetings to Martin. Merry Christmas from my home to yours. All the best to you guys. Happy 2025 and Merry Christmas.
The Ministry of TIAT every year encourages everyone, both residents and tourists, to come on out and spread the Christmas cheer. This is a way in which we revitalize Phillipsburg, part of the ministry's vision. And we plan to do it greater and better each year. So we thank everyone for coming out. Look out for what we have in store. Visit the government website for all our policies and our plans and other events. And we hope that you spread the Christmas cheer, put on your lights, have your events, dress up as much as possible, and have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday and a happy New Year 2025.
Minister Andrew Holness has declared the condition of the nation's roads a national emergency. As a result, $2 billion has been allocated to carry out patching island-wide. As Kalisha Williams reports, it comes as the government signs the contract for the $45 billion Spark program.
There have been mounting concerns over the past few weeks, especially with the rainy weather, about poor road conditions. Well, today, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and China Harbour Engineering Company signed the contract for the Spark program, the $45 billion Spark program. And according to Mr. Holness, the work will begin this month, starting in St. Andrew, before moving on to rural parishes. Now, the sparkjamaica.gov website was also launched a few minutes ago, where people can find all the information in regards to this specific project. They can find information in regards to when their roads in their communities will be scheduled for repairs. Now, just to note that this Spark program will include community roads. As for the main roads, Mr. Holness also announced today a $2 billion allocation to carry out patching right across the island, and he explained that that work will begin soon. Now, I know there may be concerns in regards to traffic disruptions, especially given that the Spark program will commence during the festive season. Now, I'll have all that and more in primetime news this evening at 7. Reporting from the office of the Prime Minister, I'm Kalisha Williams for TVJ News.
In police and residents this morning along a section of the Old Harbour Road in St. Catherine following the fatal shooting of a man last night. The residents say the deceased, 48-year-old Vernon Campbell, was not a troublemaker.
They come right as so, then take my brother. See blood there, them shoot him right as so first. Then them carry him around the corner there so. If you go down there, see what them throw the dirt on the blood and them shoot him, be a headshot them game. And we want justice for him.
Also accused the police of tampering with evidence captured by a CCTV camera.
They take the camera and them delete what them for delete off of it. Off of a barber shop. Them take out the camera and them delete. Then take everybody's phone last night from them and search it.
No police can stop you. Once they not block the road, no police can stop you from demonstrate. But you can go for the placard and stop right and demonstrate. Just block the road.
In the meantime, commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Division, Hopton Nicholson, says a thorough investigation will be done.
Ensure that they speak to the members from the Independent Commission of Investigation, INDICOM, as also our internal investigators. And I also ask them not to block the road because we do not want that kind of police-citizen confrontation out here. So they have promised not to block the roads because if they do so, they'll be arrested, and we do not wish for that at this time.